All right, Katie Williams, you are a candidate for the District B CCSD Board of Trustees seat. Thank you so much for meeting with me. So for people who may not know, talk to me a little bit about who you are and why you're running.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm here at work, and I always try to make time for you guys, absolutely, to get my message out there. But my name is Katie Williams. I am a 13-year combat veteran, so I'm still in the Nevada National Guard, serving on part-time status. I'm a working mom. Have a husband and a 4-year-old daughter. I'm not originally from Nevada. I came here 2 years ago, and really just want to serve my community the best way I know how.
So why did you want to run for this seat?
So there's a couple reasons. My biggest reason is my daughter. I always want to make sure that education is great for her as a parent. I want to make sure that I'm putting her in the best possible situation to get the most out of it. And as I was looking around the CCSD school district, I didn't see a whole lot of things that were super great for her. Not that they were bad, but I think that they could be better. And then as a recruiter in the military at one time, you actually get to jump in and see what these kids kind of go through on a daily basis. And I think they deserve better. And so that's just one of those reasons. One of the many reasons was her. Another reason is that I am close to retirement in the military, and I want to be able to serve my community outside of the military once I retire.
So does your daughter currently attend a CCSD school?
No, my daughter's 4. So, no, she does not. She does go to a private daycare facility that teaches a curriculum. It's a preschool curriculum. We're going to be testing her out probably the end of this year. So she'll be in CCSD school district next year.
For you, how do you want to try and enhance the school district if you are elected to this position?
So a couple of things. I've already pledged to donate my salary. Granted, it's only $9,000 a year, but because of 2020 and the 2021 year of COVID-19, budget cuts will absolutely happen. And so if I can kind of mitigate that a little bit and really alleviate some of the pressure by donating my salary, I'll do that. Another thing too is I want kids to be involved in their own education. I think a lot of times high school students, grade school students, they're kind of left out of the conversation. Their needs aren't being met because they're not being listened to. And so I actually want to bring a student council around that works closely with the school board in order to actually kind of figure out some of these situations that these students may not even understand or may not realize, or that we may not understand as board members who may not see what they're seeing.
Right now, one of the issues a lot of students and families are dealing with is distance education. I know your daughter's only 4, but what is your position on this and how do you think it's been handled?
So I think that online education is good in fashions, right? I think it's a good tool to have, and I don't think that we should discount it completely because a lot of students do well with distance education. So I think that those students should be able to have that choice in order to go to school, and if they can keep that routine and they can keep that online education presence. But a lot of students aren't like that. Some students need that in-person, in-classroom instruction with the teachers, with the administrators, every day. And a lot of parents are struggling right now. In 2020, if you're lucky enough to have 2 parents in the household, they typically both still work. And so if you have really young children, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, you can't leave those kids by themselves. So now you have parents scrambling, trying to find childcare at a moment's notice or one parent has to stay home. Now, if you're in the unfortunate situation where you only have one parent that works their tail off, and they still have young children, well, now they're still kind of in that unfortunate situation where they have to find childcare and everything else. So online education isn't something to be discounted. I think it's a tool to have, but just that, a tool. It shouldn't be the solution or end all be all of education.
Going forward, you are running for one of 4 seats. So there's going to be a lot of change up with this board. How do you think that may enhance, or how do you think that will change the dynamic as well as the relationship with the superintendent if you are elected?
Yeah, I am hoping for a huge turnover of the board. I think that there's a lot of good candidates running. I watch them very closely because these may be people that I'm going to be working with in the future. And I think that we all have one common goal in mind, and that is the children. So I think that there's going to be a huge difference in next year in how the boards are being ran. I've already kind of, I guess, ousted my own I guess, non-support of the superintendent, I will not actually vote to renew his contract. And so if that's ever brought back up again, I would actually like to put in place a new superintendent. And I hope that my colleagues on the board will actually back me up on that as well, because I think a lot of parents are struggling with this and they just don't feel like they're being heard. And a lot of teachers, especially who are retiring to leave early, either they're retiring early because they don't like the structure right now with the current district. So I think that that's important. But I hope that we see a huge turnover in the board.
For people who are hearing this for the first time, why do you not want to renew Superintendent Jara's contract?
So there were a couple different reasons, but I think the biggest one I've seen is that, he negotiated himself a bigger salary before he came to the district. The original position for that, sorry, the original salary for that position was 280,000. And before he came over from Florida, he actually negotiated himself to 320,000. In 2019, he actually made $432,000, and this is all, CCSE open book policies. You can go up and look it up online yourselves, and I hope people do. I hope people go and see that there's not a single teacher in our district that makes over $100,000 a year, and yet there's 5,300 administrators that do, and that they'll hire back they'll hire back old principals on consulting fees and firms, and they'll be paid $100 or $150 or $150,000 a year. And it's kind of upsetting because these teachers are killing themselves with these kids, trying to get them to learn the things they need to learn to go on to better education and better work. Um, so that's one reason. And then the other reason is that, back in July when they did kind of a review hearing of Dr. Jara's work and accomplishment, they were very expressive in the fact that, legally he didn't have to answer any of those questions, and he took full advantage of that. And that really, as a parent, hurt me because it shows me that he doesn't really care about our kids. He doesn't care about the current structure. He's using his contract to bank himself a couple $100,000 a year so that he can possibly move on later, and he's got family in New York and he's got family in Florida. It would be nothing for him that if we just didn't renew his contract, he would just go back and continue doing what he's doing. He doesn't care.
Anything else you'd like to add just about why you're running and how you think you may make a difference if elected?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm definitely not your typical candidate. I'm very very brash. I'm very outspoken because as a parent, I can see what these kids go through every single day, and it's disheartening. I work with kids a lot, and to see them frustrated and upset, and really they don't understand why they're doing what they're doing because parents and adults don't really have a whole lot of control over what's going on in the district. So I don't get a lot of union support, and that's okay because I'm not one of those people that cows down to unions. So I really hope that parents can see that I'm just not your typical candidate. I want to work for everyone. I want to help everyone. Being in the military, I just have this feeling of like I have to keep this community structure safe, and I have to keep this community better than what I found it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.